Okay, for this meditation, just take a seat somewhere. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be in a chair, it could be on the floor, but someplace that's comfortable. But don't lie down, because when we lie down, we have a tendency to fall asleep. And close your eyes. And for the first minute, just try to calm your breathing. A lot of meditations start with deep breaths. And I find that that's not the way we breathe when we are calm and relaxed. So just try to slow your breathing down a little bit. Make it as relaxed and as quiet as you can make it. And now I want you to draw your attention to whatever you hear, regardless of how quiet the room might be. There's something you can probably hear, perhaps many things. So find something that you can hear and direct your attention to that. And you're just going to try to focus on whatever it is you hear. Now, as you're doing that, invariably you're going to notice that your mind drifts and thoughts arise. And at some point, you will realize you're no longer focused on what you're hearing and you're lost in thought instead. When that happens, don't judge it, just notice it and go back to trying to pay attention to whatever it is you're hearing. Once again, this is the essence of meditation. It's a balance between focusing and noticing. You're trying to focus on something, but quite quickly, that focus will drift. And you won't notice it most of the time. And instead, you'll get wrapped up in whatever it is you're thinking. So it's that awareness that we're trying to bring to the forefront. Being aware of when our focus slips and goes off of whatever it is we're trying to pay attention to. As you're listening to sounds, whatever it is you might be hearing in the room, notice that you have no control over that. Whatever those sounds are, they're just appearing, and you don't control that. You can't decide if you hear them or not. You can choose to listen to them, which is to say, pay attention to them. But whether you hear them or not is not up to you. And when your mind drifts to your thoughts, ask yourself if your thoughts are any different than those sounds. Are the thoughts showing up in your head something you're putting there? If you're honest with yourself, you'll realize the thoughts that show up in your head are no different than the sounds you're hearing. You don't control them, they just appear. And so the question becomes, do you focus on them? Do you make them important for some reason? Or do you just realize they're an appearance in consciousness that you didn't author? The sounds in the room and the thoughts that show up in your head are the same thing. It's just a stream of information. And what matters is the importance you place on those things. Any thought that shows up, you can treat just like a sound that you hear. You can focus on it, you can pay attention to it, or you can ignore it. But it doesn't need to be important for any reason. It doesn't have to have anything to do with you, so to speak. So for the last few minutes here, just continue that practice. Try to keep your focus on whatever it is you hear, and then notice when you get wrapped up in thought. And try to treat those thoughts just like the sounds. Okay, well, hopefully you found that useful. It's a practice you can go back to at any time during the day. You can do it for a couple minutes, you can do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20. Doesn't really matter. But it's trying to bring this practice into everyday life. This realization that thought patterns are just thought patterns. It's just an information stream. And it doesn't have to mean anything, any more so than the sounds you hear have to mean something. See you next time.